Well, the May elections are coming, and the Conservatives are in for a wake-up call. Kemi Badenoch has been very disappointing. When she was selected by the party, I must admit, I thought, well, I don't believe she always says what she thinks. I think she's always able to say what people want to hear. But she's a politician. That can be a good thing. You get votes by telling people what they want to hear. You lose votes by not delivering on that. Well, the Labour Party told people what they wanted were a change from the Conservatives. And they failed to deliver any meaningful change and are disappointing the population, have slipped into second place and are wallowing in a level of unpopularity which no party's managed to achieve in my memory. Certainly not so quickly. Kemi hasn't cut through. She hasn't delivered a message to potential Conservative voters that will persuade them to vote for her. She has been eaten alive by Keir Starmer at question time, generally made to look a fool. And on the whole, Reform has been more effective as a party of opposition than the Conservatives, despite having a fraction of their MPs. The Conservative Party has suffered from not being Conservative for quite some time. And you need to decide quite where you position yourself to get elected. Starmer understood this. He positioned himself as someone who wasn't going to tell you what he stood for, but he wasn't Conservative. There were very few policies on show, and I guess we know why now. They didn't have many, and those they did weren't very good. But the Tories need to realise whether they are a party of the centre left, a party of the centre, party of the centre right, or a party that's strongly on the right. The Conservative Party has always prided itself on being a broad church. But right now, the Conservative Party's like a church, empty with few people willing to put bums on seats for them. And the May election is going to show us just how successful Kemi has been in turning the ship around. So after that election, who's going to replace her? There was some talk of Boris Johnson, which I find risible. Even those who loved Boris Johnson, I don't think thought he was a very good Prime Minister. Generic? Maybe. At least he's making some noises. He seems to understand that the role of a senior politician in opposition is to push back and push the government of the day to make appropriate decisions or to shine a spotlight when they fail to do so. And he's the only person that's been doing that. Now, Labour and Conservatives have helped each other out by supporting Angela Rayner's delays to elections. Luckily for them, quite a few of the seats seem to have been Reform battlegrounds. So the polling I've seen suggests that Tories will have 10 councils and Reform will have 8. But that's not good enough. For Kemi to keep her job, she has got to deliver some votes, some progress, some policies. Or other senior Tories have got to provide a narrative which leads to at least a dream of them winning an election. I remember Clear Blue Water. The whole idea was creating clear blue water between Tony Blair and the Conservatives, so the Conservative Party could mop up voters who were dissatisfied with Labour. A clear definitional difference between the parties. When they got rid of NHS England, the Tory response was, yeah, good idea. Well, great, it was your quango. You built it, you supported it, and then you just say, well, yeah, they were right to get rid of it. Well, why did you create it? Why didn't you get rid of it? Why don't you have an alternate approach? Because without an alternate approach, the Conservative Party is dead. And their best hope of surviving as a political force is if Reform eat themselves alive. Well, playing the patient game and hoping that Reform implode is a policy that the Tories can follow. But being reliant on another party to be worse than you would seem an unwise policy for one of the worst governments of the last 30 years. A government so bad that its core voters chose to vote Reform to gift the election to Labour and get rid of the party that they've felt at home in for decades. Suella Braverman gets this, but the MPs don't like her. So she's not really a potential candidate any more than Boris. I find it ridiculous that Boris would come back. Inconceivable that the MPs would vote for Suella Braverman. Uninspiring that Cleverly is going to reform the party. And generic? Maybe. He's got to do a lot to win my vote.